recipe for the best chocolate chip cookies ever. This is Dan and I'm Mel from adventuresofmel.com. And this has been probably, well, it has been the #1 recipe and #1 post on my blog. And these are the best cookies ever. Originally the recipe came out of the Pennsylvania Grange cookbook, but I've changed it up quite a bit. Like instead of shortening, we used butter. I add a little bit more salt. We don't add nuts. We've just changed it up a little bit to make it our own. But we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to mix up the dough and teach you how to make them. And then we will pop them in the oven and show you what they look like when they're finished. And there's a few secrets to making these cookies that I'll share along the way to help make them really chewy in the center and just a little bit crispy on the outside edge, so they're the perfect cookie. So, you ready?
Sure.
Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take 2 sticks of unsalted butter, and I like to just put them in the microwave and soften them up just a little bit before we start mixing.
And it's always optional. Take a small bite of the butter too if you like.
No. But he does do that. I find teeth marks in the butter sometimes. True story. So nasty.
It's how we keep our immune systems up.
Okay, so I'm going to pop this in the microwave for about 15 to 20 seconds.
So what can I do for you?
You can...
Put your eggs in?
Actually, no, you can put... We're going to put 3/4 cup of brown sugar and 3/4 cup white sugar, or not white sugar, it's like a raw sugar that we use.
Sugar in the raw.
Yeah, but
cane sugar.
Cane sugar. But the brown sugar, this is a tip. A couple months ago, we had tried making these cookies. I had started buying a generic brand, and I had bought that brand before, but they must have changed something about it, because the cookies started coming out cake-like, and at first my son had made them and I had blamed him for doing something wrong with the recipe. Well, come to find out, it was the brown sugar that I was buying, because I went back and bought the brand name brown sugar, C&H, and the cookies were back to normal. So that is one trick, and you want to use light brown sugar, because dark brown sugar will make them really thin and more crunchy. The light brown sugar helps them be really chewy in the center and just a little bit crispy on the outside. So then, once we have the butter softened, we're just going to cream the butter and the sugar together. You did 3/4 of each?
Yes.
Okay.
What else can I put in? Let me get some flour out.
No, not that. I don't know if that's enough. Yeah, that's enough. Alright, so Dan's going to crack 2 eggs in here for me to get them ready, and I'm going to cream the butter and the sugar together so they're nice and creamy. And once your butter and sugar are creamed and mixed up, then you're going to pour your eggs in. You want 2 eggs. And I actually double the recipe every time, so the recipe normally calls for 1 egg, but I like to double it. Put the eggs in, and then we're going to do 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And I have read before where someone said that vanilla is very calming just to smell it. I could agree with that. Once you've got all that mixed up, we're going to do, just a second.
6 eggs.
No. We're going to do 2 1/4 cups of flour, and I always like to run it through the sifter just 1 time. My grandma would probably, oh here, level it off. Here, put that back in there.
I got it.
Okay, you got it.
Is it 2 1/4?
Yeah, honey, you didn't even level it off.
2 1/4?
Yes. See Yeah, I level it off. I can't. No, these aren't gonna turn out right. No, not yet. No, honey, no. Okay, so we do a half a teaspoon of baking soda.
I'm ready to get these things done.
I know, but that's not gonna be enough because you gotta level it off.
I leveled it off completely.
Oh boy, no. Yeah, that's right. And then
About salt.
one. Okay, 1 heaping teaspoon of salt. Okay, sift. See, my grandma, she taught me to sift things, or maybe it was my mom, both of them, sift things at least 3 or 4 times, if not 6 to 7 times, but I do it 1 time. But I usually measure things.
I measured it perfectly fine.
So we did 2 1/4 cups of flour, or about there, half a teaspoon of baking soda, and a teaspoon of salt. And then you just pour it in to your mixture. These are really easy to make.
I remember when we first got married, I thought it was really odd that she would sift things. 'Cause my family, when we made stuff like this, I really didn't know what a sifter was. But she would get out her plate and she'd get out and put as much, she'd fill that thing as full as she could, and she'd sift it, and then she'd put it all back in and sift it again, and put it back in and sift it again, and usually 3 or 4 times. And over the years, though, I think she's kind of figured out that, at least for the most of the stuff we make, sifting it once usually is sufficient.
I'm a measuring person though. He's not. So, I don't know. I guess we balance each other out. So you'll mix this all up good. And then you want to get the chocolate chips ready? I usually will take my paddle off I'll stir in the chocolate chips by hand. Because I realized a long time ago the chocolate chips actually like to tear up my mixing paddle, so we are going to mix those in my hand. And I put a whole bag of chocolate chips in. It's 12 ounces, right?
Yeah.
Of semi-sweet chocolate chips.
Yeah, these are 12. So, now if you were her mom making these, and I've definitely got to call this out, because you see this one little bitty chocolate chip there? This is all she would do. And then she'd cook them.
She didn't
Oh, sorry.
do that, but
So if this made 12 cookies, she'd have 12 chocolate chips and put them in and let them divide evenly.
She's gonna watch this and say you're talking about her.
Yeah, but your brother's at least going to come on and back me up and say it's true, though.
It's funny. It's a funny story though. It's like an inside joke for the whole family.
So every year for his birthday, her brother gets a big cookie with 1 chocolate chip in the middle of it now too, because we harass her so much.
You want to stir them in?
Sure.
So once you got your chocolate chips in, then you just need a cookie sheet. We use a cookie scooper, a cookie dough scooper, but you can, it's about a tablespoon of dough for each cookie.
Yeah, it gets about a tablespoon on this little scooper.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is an actual cookie scooper or a really small melon baller or something, but it's like an old-time ice cream scooper that it's perfect for these cookies. So you just scoop in and scrape it to the side and then just put it on.
You can add nuts to these if you want, but we don't, I don't know, we've never really done that.
Just the thought of nuts and chocolate chip cookies just kind of throws me off a little bit.
You know, for me, it's like it's too much chewing. I want to enjoy the cookie without all the chewing. I guess I'm lazy. I don't know.
These, when you look at these with this little scooper, it looks like they're fairly small, but they actually expand a little bit when you cook them, and they flatten out really nice, and they make a really nice, small portion cookie.
This is a recipe that you can mix up if you don't know that you're going to have, like if you suddenly have company and you need a quick dessert, this is a perfect recipe for that. It's also great for potlucks, get-togethers, things like that. It's perfect for Valentine's Day. You could even make one big giant cookie if you wanted. And you'll want to bake them at 375 degrees for 10 to 12 minutes. Usually they'll take right in that time frame, sometimes a little bit longer, but it depends on how big you make them.
The first batch seems to always take a couple of minutes extra to get them done, but then usually on the second one and the remaining they do a lot quicker.
So I want to pop these in the oven, and we already made a batch earlier, so we can show you what they look like when they're done. Put this over here. Usually you'll come out, if you double the batch, you'll come out with 2 or 3 dozen cookies. And here's what they look like. I don't know if you can see this, but they are so delicious. They're perfectly chewy in the middle, a little bit crispy around the edges.
If you like dunking in milk, they're a really nice size for dunking in those coffee cups. Or if you like dunking in coffee, still a good idea.
So I'm going to post the link. I have the link to this recipe. I'll post it as soon as the video goes live on my page. So you'll be able to click over to print that recipe. And next week, what did we say we were going to be back with?
Chili.
Chili. Yes.
But we're going to use the Instant Pot again to make it so that it's a quicker to make, so you have more time for Valentine's Day. So spend with your family or with your spouse or boyfriend, girlfriend.
Or to quickly feed your kids before you go out for date night.
So possibilities are endless.
So we will see you back next Thursday at between 6 and 6:30 with the chili recipe in the Instant Pot. And we hope you have a great week.
Thank you.